human beings don't exist within a little bubble, only affected by the things that they inherited. We all grow up into an environment that affects our development. So what's this interaction between inheritance and the environment we find ourselves in known as? Well, this is the debate between nature versus nurture. How much does what we're born with, our nature, the genes we inherit, affect our development and our behaviour, and how much of it is down to our environment? Psychologists and scientists have argued over this for many years. It used to be thought that nature was most important, but now there's a view that perhaps nurture is very significant in our development. So what's the difference between nature and nurture? Well, nature, we know, we're born with a set of genes. That's our genotype, the makeup of the 25,000 genes that everybody has within their body that controls their growth, their development, their behaviour and the sort of person that they are. So our genotype is a genetic makeup or genetic code that every individual has. It's inherited from his or her parents. If you're a twin, an identical twin, then you share 100% of your genes with your sibling. You've got exactly the same genetic makeup and code. However, if you're non-identical twins, or you have siblings who are not twins, then you share 50% of the genes that your parents have. But of course it's a random set and each sibling is different. So if we compared twins with siblings or non-identical twins, we might be able to see some differences or some similarities actually in the way that they turn out. But whatever our genetic makeup is, our genetic code, it's the blueprint of what a child will become in the future. It's the starting point. But is it everything? These are the internal influences. So what about our phenotype then? Well, the phenotype is the combination of the genes that we have and the environment which influence our development. It's the characteristics that we show. So a child might have a genetic code or makeup that says that they will have a certain colour skin, fair skin, pale skin. But of course if you go out into the environment, the sun has an effect on the skin and can colour it, tan it. We have a genetic makeup that determines how tall we will be and how heavy we will be. But growth and weight and height are genetically determined, but also affected by what we eat and how much we exercise. So it's the combination of the genes and the environment which influence our development. Of course, that would be good to compare if you looked at children who were adopted. Particularly if they're twins that have been adopted, have gone to different families. They might share the same genetic makeup, 100% of the same genes, but do they turn out exactly the same? So our phenotype affects, for example, growth, weight, height. These are genetically determined, but are also affected by other influences such as diet and exercise. So we could say that our genotype is the internal influences that determine how we will become, and our phenotype is the external influences that we will become. And this debate went on for many years, very much an argument, but we begin to feel now that the experiences we have external to us mixed with our internal, our genes, actually have a huge influence. Lots of our behaviour is socially learned from our experiences and the people we mix with. And the behaviours that are most argued about are personality, intelligence and sex role behaviour. So, nature versus nurture. Nature inherited, nurture environmental. The genes inherited from our parents determine our growth and our behaviour. This is a belief that behaviour is innate, it's inborn, and as a result of the genes that we have. However, environmental factors mean that our behaviour is also shaped by the experiences in our family and our social environment where we live, our education for instance, even the economic circumstances we find ourselves in. It's socially learned as a result of being with other people in the environment. So we have nature, a biological approach, and nurture, for example, a behaviourist approach. Our behaviour is conditioned and reinforced by what we experience, or it's socially learned through the observation of others around us. So we have inherited traits, which are there with us from birth, from our genes, and what we can call acquired traits that are an effect of our nurture and environment. So, nature or nurture? Let's look at an example. Reese is 44 years old, seriously overweight. He's well informed about the health risks that can affect his weight, but says he can't do anything about it because his problem's caused by the genes he's got. You see, I know people who are a similar rate and they don't eat any less than I do. I'm meant to be this way, just runs in the family. I've tried, but I just can't lose weight. Is Reese right? Do inherited influences make us what we are, or is the nurture, the environmental influences, part of the picture? And we could argue, what percentage is nature, what percentage is nurture? How will we ever know? So what about Reese then? Yep, his genotype could say that he's programmed to be slim, athletic, beautiful person. But his phenotype, the things that he does, can also influence and will also influence his weight and the way that he is. So his physiology make him predisposed to being overweight, and his metabolism may not burn energy very efficiently. That could be the argument for his weight problem. But on the other hand, what socio-economic and psychological influences can contribute to being overweight? Have a think about that, write some ideas down, and look at your specification for the factors influencing development if you're not sure. But make sure for the next lesson you have some ideas on the social and economic and physiological influences that could contribute to his being overweight. Think about other examples. Asthmatic, for instance. Asthma is in genes, but could there be any environmental influences that also might affect how children turn out as a result of their asthma? So the argument today is not about which side is correct, but how much of our development and characteristics or traits is down to nature and how much is down to nurture. On this slide you'll see a series of key terms which you will need to understand. Some of them you've covered already, others we'll be coming to later on, which you will be able to and should use where you can in questions on the nature and nurture debate and how it influences people. So innate, inborn. Socially learned, learned from other people and the environment around us. Free will, our ability to choose what we do. Sex role behaviour, behaviour that's characteristic with males and females. How much is determined by our genes and how much by the environment we find ourselves in. Personality, genes or environment. Intelligence, nature, nurture or both. Environmental factors affect us, inherited factors affect us. Our genotype, the genetic code, the pattern that we're born with that is innate. The phenotype, the characteristics we show, which can be a combination of nature and nurture, our genes and our environment. Monozygote, another word for identical twins. Dizygote, non-identical or also known as fraternal twins. Nature, down to our genes and our biological makeup, or nurture, down to the environmental influences that we experience. So, a key part of moving on in this unit is understanding the nature-nurture debate. You need to understand it, what it is, how scientists have argued about the differences in behaviour and the reasons for it over the years, and be able to explain those differences. you'll need to apply it in the next few lessons when we look at twin and family studies to see how that can tell us something more about the nature and nurture debate. So make sure then you go back to Rees, you look at the things that could influence his weight and the way he is from his environment, the nurture side of it, look at your specifications for some ideas. Have that ready for the next lesson, please.